This is the Cubs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into a late Friday night edition of the Locked On Cubs POSTCAST here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. The Cubs win 3-2 in the first time in over a month. Kyle Tucker hits a home run. Pete Crow-Armstrong, nearly a month for him as well. Both go deep in this game as the Cubs win 3-2. Javier Assad, very solid. Daniel Palencia gets the 1-2-3, which was felt needed for him after a couple, not easy outings as well for the Cubs. And I'm going to complain about Craig Counsell still in a victory for this one, specifically because I just need a little more anger from Craig Counsell occasionally, even though it is late on the West Coast. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. All right, we will start today's show off with our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
We're going two guys here. Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow-Armstrong. Home runs in this game. I mean, the Kyle Tucker one. Whew, that felt like a sense of relief, and I'm not even Kyle Tucker. I mean, you saw the emotion from both PCA and Kyle Tucker after they hit the home runs. For Kyle Tucker, it's big smiles, big high fives, big reaction from the dugout. They all know he needed it desperately. He knew he needed it desperately. PCA, same thing. Big hug from Justin Turner. I mean, we saw leading up to the game until the ninth inning there from PCA, a lot of anger, a lot of thrown bats, a lot of swings and misses on stuff way outside the zone, some stuff that was what we've come to know of recent with PCA. But you needed these guys to wake up at some point. And fingers crossed, one game, I keep having to say this, like one game does not erase what's been happening recently with the Cubs. But it just feels so good to see Kyle Tucker specifically go deep because it's been such a strange stretch for him to have this hairline fracture in his hand, but then to be awesome in June. He hit 311, 5 home runs. Then to be terrible for the next month and a half. To get some rest days that really turns into 2 days, 3 games for Kyle Tucker. He comes back into the lineup. Everyone's annoyed because you go 3-2 against the Brewers. He plays in 2 games, you lose them. He doesn't play in 3 games, you win those. So to see Kyle Tucker go up there in the first inning and hit that home run is a huge positive sign. But with that, also, that flyout he had to right field, it's kind of similar to some of the stuff that we've seen of recent with him. It's kind of an awkward swing, but the ball leaves the bat with pretty good velocity. I do feel like it's a little deceiving what you were hearing if you're listening to the broadcast today. The way they had the microphones placed on the field, I felt like every single time an Angels or Cubs player put the bat on the ball, it was leaving the ballpark based on the way it sounded. But that out that Tucker had, another deep fly to right field that gets caught at the warning track. So to see Tucker put 2 really good swings together today just feels good. It's so needed for this team to see Kyle Tucker get this thing back on track. I saw a couple people before the show even started talking about the Brewers, that the Brewers won tonight. And they said something that I think is so true. Even for fans, for the players, everything. It doesn't matter at this point what the Brewers are doing. They keep finding a way. William Contreras hits a walk-off home run. Just another day in the ballpark for them, right? All the Cubs can do right now is stack W's. You barely play any more games against teams above 500. 7 games left this entire season. As of this moment, teams above 500. The Cubs, all they have to do right now is get right, stack W's, stay healthy. That is the most important thing. So as you start this stretch coming out of the Brewers series, yes, there were opportunities. We'll get through them in this game. There are negatives with this game, of course, where the Cubs did have plenty of opportunities to score runs, and they didn't come through. You still saw some bad at-bats again from PCA and Kyle Tucker in this one. But both those guys hitting home runs. So Tucker, player of the game, PCA, player of the game. Because it's about damn time to see those guys hit a baseball out of the ballpark. The PCA stuff they showed during the game is crazy to me, how good of a hitter he is in California. He's hitting well above 300 in Cali. Obviously, a California kid, just must feel super comfortable out there. We know Michael Busch is kind of the same thing. So both those guys, very good. Seiya Suzuki also sack fly in this game. But collectively, I felt like we saw a lot of really positive at-bats from him in this one. So there's very good things that feel like are happening, I think, over the last, starting with this series, if you just want to include today, the last 2 series plus today. PCA against the Pirates, getting on base about 8 times. Kyle Tucker, today the home run. Seiya Suzuki, putting some quality at-bats together. Owen Casey, I'd like to see him play. As Darren says here, Casey needs to play. I'd still like to see him play out there. But Ian Happ's put together some good at-bats as well. I mean, you need him to play at some point. I just think it's a mistake I don't want to rail on it too much after a win. It's 11:10 at night. So it's hard to be angry at this time of the night. But he doesn't need to play to be an effective player in the big leagues. So I would like to see him play, or as James says, when are they going to send him down? Great question. So overall, good win. You take it. It's a good win because it's a win. That's what matters the most right now, is that, and more on PCA here, not just the win itself, but when's the last time it felt like the Cubs had a clutch hit? Honestly, where the Cubs have needed somebody to come up in a tie situation, down. You need someone to come up and hit not just a home run, but just to bring someone in, to find a way to get a guy across the plate. And PCA does all the work for himself in this one, but that's also too with the win. Rojo here on the YouTube chat says Justin Turner walk-off home run. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's been so bleak since then in a lot of ways that it's hard to remember if there was something else. But yeah, you do need that. So for the most part, good stuff for the Cubs. Just the fact that they got the win in this one. We'll get to the bad stuff as well. We'll get to Javier Assad because he was very solid in this start. I use the word solid because he wasn't like he was dominating the Angels, but he really put up a good stat line in this one. It was very consistent throughout his entire start. So we'll get to all that stuff here coming up next here on the Locked on Cubs postcast on the Locked on Cubs YouTube channel. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies and making memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse to go without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. It's just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a Dream Golf for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. It does exclude the Masters tournament, and entry ends on October 31st, 2025. All right, Javier Assad, pretty good in this one. We saw him come up with this one. And look, the thing about Assad was he wasn't great his first appearances with the Cubs, obviously, but he was really solid in this game. Didn't have big strikeout numbers, but didn't have damage, really, any chance for damage in this game until basically it was time for him to leave. The home runs, Moncada hits 2 home runs, one given up by Assad, one given up by Kittredge. But the Angels really didn't have opportunities in this game. I think one of my favorite ones was the fastball that he threw down the middle to Mike Trout, which was clearly not to be expected. But he was good in this one. And it was a start that gives you, I mean, for so long we talked about the Cubs needing to add at the deadline. And even if they didn't add, it was you still have Javier Assad coming back to reinforce this rotation because not a lot of people trust Colin Wright. Not a lot of people trust Jameson Taillon. There's more trust, I think, within the fan base of Javier Assad and what he could still be. So this was a really good start in terms of where he's headed the rest of the season. And now it's just follow it up, do it again. Like we talked about with the team at the start of this, just keep putting up good performances. I mean, it's been so long since he's pitched. It was unfair to expect him to come back to the majors and immediately be an impact game or put an impact pitcher from his very first start and appearance for the Cubs in 2025. So this is just encouraging. It's honestly, frankly, it's more encouraging than Kyle Tucker and PCA, what he did in this one, just to go out there. And yeah, the Angels aren't a great baseball team. Like we all know it. They're okay this year. They're hovering around 500, but like they're nothing special or terrible like they've been in the past. So I on a start in and start out basis going forward through the connection here. There we go. You just want to see Javier Assad go out there and pitch pretty well. And that's all you can do. See, the Michigan man says gritty win. That's a good way to put it. Haven't had, didn't take advantage of their opportunities in this game, but finding a way to go out there and get a win. That's something the Cubs just haven't done of recent. They have not had, when they've had bad games, or close games, they haven't been able to push something over the edge. So hopefully today is the start of that to really see the Cubs really get this thing back on track. Real quick here on Craig Counsell. The Owen Casey thing, that's one thing. Like again, he should play. I just said it. He should be playing more often than he is. I just don't think it makes sense to have a young player on the roster at this point. Feels like it makes more sense to me, logically, to have him in the minors, but whatever. My annoyance with him is not this. First of all, it's a terrible look for the umpires in the situation. Before we get to Craig. So Seiya Suzuki gets called out on a check swing on strike 3, in which if you watch the replay, you can see the home plate umpire point to the first base umpire. And the umpire at first immediately says no check swing. And then the home plate umpire changes his mind and strikes him out. Strange sequence. Like to see the umpire change his own mind about having to defer to someone else to do it and then take it back yourself. I know I've said this before doing these shows. We haven't had to talk about it a lot this year. It's probably more deserved because Craig Counsell is so mellow. It's probably the nicest way to put it. Boring, maybe is a better way to put it. I just need a little bit more. Like more than just like a what's going on? Why are we doing this? What's going on? Like that's all he does. He just like raises his hands, says a couple words, and then sits back in the dugout. I would really love Craig Counsell, like at some point this season, to go out there and like go nose to nose with an umpire on a terrible call like that. It doesn't change your season around, doesn't mean anything. But I don't need you to be Lou Piniella. Like I don't need that. I don't need like the most egregious Cubs manager we've seen in my lifetime, right? To go that extreme all the time. But I would just appreciate a little fire from him to back up your dudes on this team. I think they deserve it. And I don't really know if it's a check swing strikeout or not. We'll find out in a couple of years when they implement the strikes, the challenge system that they're working on in the minor leagues right now. That's coming after being able to call balls and strikes, is being able to challenge check swings, which I don't really like. But I just want a little more, honestly, for them. Last thing here before we wrap up today's show. Daniel Palencia, he's been stressful. He's kind of taken the Stressly moniker a little bit with him not being on the team. The appearances just haven't been clean. The last one, he's got runners on base, chance to give up the game for the Cubs against the Brewers, gets the double play, gets out of it, no big deal. Appearance before that, gives up a home run in a tie ball game, the Cubs lose. To see him go out there, get a 1-2-3, really, really positive. Just want to see him have those more consistently. He's done a miraculous job, honestly, as a closer in terms of when you think about the fact that this is a guy that didn't make the roster coming out of the regular season. Probably a mistake from the Cubs. At the same time, maybe it was smart to just, keep him in the minors to, find a way to get him going again. But he's come up and found a way to really secure this closer position. I think there is an argument for Kittredge being a guy that you can rely on. He's obviously not going to be perfect either. And we can't expect these guys to be perfect. But just with the young pitcher, specifically young closer, in my mind, what I'm looking for after 2 outings that are sketchy is it's kind of like Javier Assad. We're like, what's the next one look like and the one after that? Can you put the genie back in the bottle and really get this thing going to where you feel the Cubs fans can feel very confident? Not that our opinions really matter all that much. But, seeing him go out there, get a 1-2-3 tonight was a very positive thing. So as you start this stretch of playing a bunch of bad teams, in Major League Baseball. This was at least a win and start of something that you need to keep going for the Chicago Cubs, because again, you don't play a team above 500 until September. I think it's September 9th. You only have 7 games the rest of the year. So you got to put this thing together, start putting together W's. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow night here. Another late show. The Cubs play 8:38 again on Saturday. Weird start time. But we'll be with you tomorrow night here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. So remember, hit that subscribe button, plus wherever you can find your podcast on Apple or Spotify as well. Thank you for listening to us here on YouTube, as well as anyone listening on those audio platforms. So we will talk to you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one.